you will never be good enough to become freelancer. Freelancing is not the goal. It's just a way to expand your career or to develop your career. I could have done the same working as a salary for 3 years, but I think I would have learned way less. My main purpose was to learn as fast as possible the current issue of companies. Freelancing is not the end of the journey. I would say. It's an amazing journey, and freelancing is super nice, but also it's super scary as well.
Welcome everyone on this new episode of Let's Talk. I'm super happy to be here today with Jeremy Arancio. Jeremy, how are you doing?
I'm doing super well. Thank you, Thomas, for inviting me.
I have many questions. I'm going to have a lot of fun during this podcast, and I think that we can provide a lot of value. Maybe for everyone who is listening, if you can do a 2 sentences introduction.
Yeah. So I'm Jeremy. I'm a machine learning engineer in freelance. I'm French, but I'm living in Czech Republic in Prague right now, and I work with companies from all over the world to tackle machine learning projects and machine learning.
I always enjoy to see your posts on LinkedIn on specific views and how you. One thing that's funny is that's so I'm going to go to my classic questions, but I'm curious because on LinkedIn you still use natural language processing engineer. So
Yes.
any thoughts? Any comments?
No, actually, we'll probably talk about that. But let's notice everyone is like I'm a huge pessimistic about GenAI, and I decided to keep the natural language processing because I wish to do natural language processing tasks and not do only chatbot RAG, because machine learning and natural language processing is way more than just GenAI, and GenAI is just a sub field of natural language processing.
Awesome. That's a thought-provoking topic. I like that.
Oh yeah,
I like
you
that.
can ask.
I'm team Gen AI. I'm team AI engineers, etc. So let's discuss this. Okay, but in the end we all do very similar things. I guess my first question is what's your state of the art? And by state of the art is I mean what are you currently excited about? What are you currently working on? Things that you're reading, you're learning, or you're applying, or you're building that have you pretty excited.
So I think I need to talk about my journey, but we will do that later. But my state of the art right now is being an engineer, which could be a software engineer or machine learning engineer that build products to bring value to companies. And my state of the art right now is just to learn everything I need to learn to build and let's say deploy a good product for customers.
Awesome. Yeah, and definitely, like you said, I always love to do this retrospective of this is what you're trying to do right now. Where do you come from? Like, where did it all started? I know that you have a very interesting background. You were not directly doing machine learning, NLP. You were not directly doing freelance and a lot of different problems and challenges that you've been solving for companies. So can you share with us this little retrospective of key moments that you have in mind and share maybe some lessons of those moments?
Yeah, definitely. So I started the software engineering / IT in general 3 years ago, in November 2021. Actually, before that, I had an engineer degree in France and then a PhD as a research engineer in heat transfers and fluid mechanics. But I got an issue with these degrees or these roles, is that these roles are super limited in terms of where you can live in the world, because I was working in the heavy industry. So when you work in heavy industry, you need to go either in laboratories or you need to go on the industry lines, and usually it's never in the big cities. You will never see that in New York or in Amsterdam. You have few of them, but the opportunities are super reduced. And I was a bit frustrated by by not being able to do whatever I want. I always need, one more year of experience to have this position abroad, I don't know, in Amsterdam or something. Else. And so I'm like, I have money because I worked for 5 years as a mechanical engineer. And so I have money, I have time. Uh, I want to change my career in a way that I can live wherever I want. So how can I how can I work wherever I want? So I heard about the digital nomad. And then from digital nomad, I heard about IT, so software development, front end development, software full stack. And so I was like, okay, so maybe I should enter the IT industry like that. I will be able to become a digital nomad. And I heard about the term data science in the YouTube video about Geomatech, if I remember well. That was an interview question. And I'm like, I can answer this interview question. And what is data science? And so I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's take a coach. Let's take 1 year of my life, and I don't know what is data science, but I will go into it, and I give myself 1 year to succeed or fail miserably. And in any case, I'll come back to engineering. It's fine. And you know what? I want to live. I want to live wherever I want in the world. So I become a digital nomad as well. And so I took a one-way ticket to Budapest in Europe, and I started to learn data science. And the journey began in data science. Few months later, my coach recommended me to get the more experience as possible. So he told me, Jeremy, you're gonna be a freelancer. I'm like, are you sure? I shouldn't do internships before? He said, freelancing. Let's go. So I'm like, okay, first person on LinkedIn say, okay, provide these services as a freelancer. If you want to work with me, and you can reach out to me. And November 2021 was the beginning of this actually amazing journey. Right now I'm in Prague, and I'm super happy I started this journey 3 years ago.
Oh, that's awesome. I think we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into the freelancing part, but can you share maybe the growth? Because I mean, that's pretty unusual because you had a PhD, you had a very interesting job, but you did this big switch. And so, how would you frame the journey for everyone who is listening? Because so I know a lot of people who are listening are in the data field, either data engineers or data scientists or AI engineers or infrastructure or data analysts with some level of connection with data. And so, how was your experience since you started this freelance journey to like getting customers and lessons learned? I'm sure you have thousands of insights, but maybe if you can share a few things that you're proud of or that or lessons learned along the way, that would be super helpful.
First of all, I think like freelancing is not the goal. It's just a way to expand your career or to develop your career. I could have done the same working as a salary for 3 years, but I think I would have learned way less because 3 years ago, my main purpose was to learn as fast as possible the current issue of companies. To be honest, I didn't learn everything that data scientists should learn. Like there are a lot of machine learning algorithms or statistical, let's say, concepts that I still don't know to this day. Just because when during my experience as a freelancer and data scientist and then machine learning engineer, I just try to solve the companies that worked with uh, problems, and I learned then the tools that requires to solve this problem. So I use the problem, and then I learned whatever I needed to learn. And your question was about like the freelancing journey and the main insights. I think like in any case, you will never be good enough to become freelancer or to start freelancing, after 5 years, 10 years. Because at the end of the day, you will learn from scratch whatever the company requires, needs to solve its problem. So yeah, freelancing is hard, but so as any pace. And I think it's just a way to learn like how to sell yourself, how to learn quickly, how to develop your skills again and again, to work with different customers slash clients slash companies. And I find it very amazing. Like it's an amazing journey, and freelancing is super nice, but also it's super scary as well. And so if you like to take risks, calculated risks, I mean, freelancing is perfect. And it's okay if you fail. Like you can fail as a freelancer, you can fail staying 10 years in the same company. It's like depending on your perspective. Freelancing is not the end of the journey, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with you in a way that freelancing is just a vehicle. It's not like, I mean, it depends for everyone. Like, I guess some people will be freelance and they just want to have a few clients and yeah, try to have like don't move out of this. But I don't see freelance like that. I see freelance as it's like you say, it's to master specific skills that in a company you can be to at this you can go at this rhythm, and in freelancing you have no excuses. It's just either you get your clients and you deliver your things and you get a good word of mouth and good pipelines, or you don't. It's like going on a ring as a boxer. It's like no one is going to fight for you. You just have to fight and you can bullshit. So it has a lot of ownership, a lot of agency, and I believe that freelance is is like I mean, you can start freelance and then have an agency, or you can directly call yourself an agency of whatever and being alone. But nowadays, with all those tools that we have, I really see how freelance or being an agency is not very different. And once you have done the efforts of being a freelance, of having a pipeline of clients, of delivering on those projects, why not scaling it, right? like why not why not going to the next step, which supposedly is easier than just doing everything yourself, with all the downwards of being alone. But like you said, it requires like continuous learning, continuous curiosity, and in the end reality will tell you if you're doing something wrong, because if things are not happening, well, something might be going wrong. I don't know if you want to comment any of that.
Yeah, no, no. Actually, yeah, you're completely right. Being a freelancer is you described being a freelancer as you deliver or you die in a way. And but to be honest, like you can also be a contractor, and a contractor is like an employee in the company, but for not short period of time, so less than a year or something like that on a specific project. And actually, you can be a freelancer and also be a beginner as well, depending on the context and on the company needs. And I started my journey as a freelancer and I joined my first company in Prague as a contractor, and I was beginner, and yet I learned on the way, and I had amazing colleagues that had the same status, which is a contractor, and they taught me software engineering, machine learning, and how to apply that to bring value for clients. So freelancing is not as hard as you deliver or you die. It's hard because it's so unstable, but you need to lack this instability, a bit like stocks, like the stocks market, like it's super unstable. Okay. But in the long run, it increases. So I feel like freelancing is the same. It's always unstable. You can be fired at any time, or if the company don't require you anymore, they can get rid of you, and which is completely fine. But you can also find super easily new client because it's super easy to hire. Freelancing is just a vehicle. You just need to have your belt fastened.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. And my takeaway here is that you need to choose the right vehicle for you, and maybe a contractor is what you need. Maybe being freelance, maybe being an entrepreneur, maybe being an employee. But I think my principle to decide what to do for everyone who's listening is um, how much, like, what's my learning curve growth looking like? So like is it more like this or like more steeper? And what's the value I'm adding to the table? Like not for me, I'm not talking about the income yet. Like what's the value I'm generating? Okay. And the last one is the value I'm generating for myself, meaning money. Like what do I win from all of that? And so I think that at each moment in everyone's careers, there are like a different path. Of course, like if nothing's related to me to a specific career path, I would not want to jump on that career path because I think that we can get way more synergy and value from where we are. Um, and you can go against that because you are a PhD, you are an engineer, and you went a totally different track. So I guess here it's more about what fulfills me, fulfillment, and like what do I want, etc. But let's say we have that, and we have a clear idea, and we want to pick what's right in my current situations. And I think those are the three things that I would measure on what to do, because maybe I still need to have a job to like get more confidence in myself, learn better how to like do things well or learn fast. And then maybe because I've outgrown my vehicle, I need to go into another one where I'll be able to grow further. Do you want to comment and share any thoughts on that?
No, it's perfectly said. It's like to grow, you need to move. So just stay in movement, and you will be fine. And the bigger risk you're gonna take in your life is not changing, not moving forward. So and just
Awesome.
make mistakes a lot of mistakes.
A lot of mistakes. I agree. Feeling uncomfortable is a sign of growth. That's uncomfortable. Means I'm growing. Cool. At least something is happening. So I was curious to ask you about the different projects you've been working on since you started, but maybe you can pick on the more recent. I'd like to learn more about your freelance journey. So you've been doing freelancing. I think that you've been doing contracting also. Of course, you have all your LinkedIn posts and content creations on different places. I put it a lot of context about everything, but pick whatever you want to go discuss about, because I'm super keen to know about projects, experiences that you've had, but also your content creation process. So pick one of those, and we'll come back to the other one later.
Yeah, no problem. So let me talk about the one project I did for an open source project called Open Food Facts. Open Food Facts, if you don't know about it, is an open source database about products and more specifically food. But they have also different database now about beauty products and soon about end products. But the main concern is about food and giving information to consumers what they have in their cart, cart, or in their plates. And so they actually required a machining engineer to help them develop new machining features to solve some long-running, long-time unsolved problems. One of those problems was actually a spell check. A spell check model. So a natural language processing task to correct a text to its correction. So it's a constant sequence. And but the data or the use case was very particular. So what they do is they OpenFacts enable contributors, because it's an open source project, to take pictures of products, any products, and to add the products to the database using the OpenFacts app. During the process, the contributor takes a picture, and they take a picture from the front and from the back and stuff like that. And also, they've been asked to take a picture of the list of ingredients composing the product. And from this picture, the text or the list of ingredients are actually extracted using OCR and then put into the database. But as you may know, OCR sometimes the can be can have a lot of caveats. For instance, the
Oh,
product can be curved.
just one question, two quick question. OCR, was it object object OCR object
Optical,
cognitive recognition? How was it?
optical character recognition.
Awesome. Optical character recognition. I used a lot of OCR a few years ago. I couldn't remind. So, okay, perfect. And the other one, is it behind, do you know the application Yuka? I think we have it in Europe. Is it this data set that is feeding Yuka application, which is an application where you get a score of the quality of the ingredients using a code bar? Is that correct?
That's a very good point. Actually, OpenStack, it's the open source project competitor, I would say. It's not a competitor of you guys, the same as Yuka,
Okay.
but it's an open source project. And actually, it's good to mention Yuka for those who don't know. Yuka is like an application you can use to scan code bars of products and then know its composition and the score and stuff like that. And so Yuka actually started its journey using the OpenStack's database and using the work of all the contributors. Because OpenStack is like 12 years old, if I remember well. And you also have Yuka, you have food advisor. But OpenStack decided to remain completely open source, and you have access to all the data, 3.5 million products with all the information for free forever, and using the API or directly downloading the database. So yeah, it's a big project, and yeah, it's completely open source. It's pretty amazing.
Awesome. All right, awesome. Sorry, back to you. I just wanted to clarify your OCR and Yuka thing.
Yeah, you're right. To cover. So optical character recognition. So with this OCR, you extract the text, but because the picture can be, the product can be curved, or you can have a light reflection. So OCR never works completely because of many aspects. And what happens is that sometimes a character is very bad recognized. It can be okay in some cases, but actually when you try to define the composition of a product, and let's say the product contains peanuts, and then the end of peanuts is not properly recognized, it means that the analysis of the product says this product doesn't contain peanuts because I haven't recognized peanuts in this list of ingredients. I have unrecognized ingredients. So you have a product that contains peanuts and can become now harmful for people allergic to peanuts. So this is a kind of issue we have. So to solve this task, 4 years ago they tried the Peter Norvig, like very basic algorithm, but now with the LLMs and all the development of transformers and all the events in natural language processing, they decided to tackle this issue using the latest development in AI. So they called me, and I developed a model using Mistral 7B. I tried different stuff, and we can go on the project. Like it was a very long project, very nice project. But at the end of the day, I fine-tuned the Mistral 7B on 6,000 corrected list of ingredients, and I got the model bit all the how can I say, the OpenAI, Cloud, Anthropic, etc., and was providing the best performances or accuracies, if I may say, while being ours, which means that no matter what happened to the AI field, AI world, if OpenAI shut down, if OpenAI decide to shut down GPT 3.5, GPT-4, whatever, we have our model on Hugging Face, and now it's used to correct the list of ingredients whenever a contributor add a new product to the database.
I have many questions on that. Okay, so I think a few of them would be not in order, the fine-tuning process, which is very interesting. The LLM choice. I feel like Llama's models and like the lower range of Llama's models are not very good. I feel like Yeah, go ahead.
To be honest, I tried on my benchmark for the spell check benchmark different models and Llama. Yeah, I tried. To be honest, I tried the 3.1, 3 if I remember well,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, actually they were performing quite okay on my benchmark. I just picked a Mistral 7B because I got one Mistral 7B that was performing way better using an experiment tracker,
Mm-hmm.
so I was the best. But I tried different stuff. I tried the Llama. I tried the T5 from the Google family, from the T5 family from Google. And sadly, like I noticed that the T5 are currently way less performant than all the latest LLMs, even if it's almost the same architecture. Um, and I also tried the little model from Microsoft. Um, how do you call it? We forgot. A tiny model from Microsoft. But I made a benchmark of models on this specific task and a big Mistral 7B. But Llama 3.1 was.
Okay. Okay. So I'm super curious. Let me know what you can share, what you cannot, but because it's an open source project, I guess you can share a lot. So I'm super curious. Can you take us through the process of the models that you're going to try? So I guess that's straightforward. There aren't thousands of models, but there are a few. So which one are you going to try? How are you going to evaluate the results? So how did you build your benchmark? Did you use open source benchmark? Did you do a combination? Did you do your own? Then while you evaluated the results of your models through the benchmark, did you use LLM as a judge, or like did you had like can you maybe share a little bit about that? And lastly, what I'm curious about is, did you try without fine tuning any model first, and then you went and fine tuned the one that you had the most interesting results in the first round, or did you directly try to fine tune? And I'd love to get into the fine tuning pine a bit after, if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. So it's very good. I'm very glad for you. Actually, you goes into the project because you remember at the beginning I said that I'm a natural language processing engineer and not an AI engineer. Just because this is a task that natural language processing can solve, and maybe GenAI can solve it. But GenAI is like a subfield. But how do you know if OpenAI, GPT-4, GPT-4o or 1, whatever, Claude 3.5, you need to evaluate anything, you need an evaluation metric or an evaluation algorithm, and you need a benchmark. And this is why I call myself still a natural language processing, because I still do machine learning for natural language processing. So let me walk you through this specific task, and it's only available for this specific task. So the how I tackle the project is like, first we try to understand what is not a good correction. For example, you cannot, let's say you put everything to OpenAI, to GPT-4, and you put your correction, and then in your text, in the OCR extracted text, you have a percentage of, let's say, sugar that is wrong. Is instead of being 12%, it's 1.2%. Okay, it's a mistake. Or you have one I don't know exclamation mark 2%. So is it 2? Is it 12%? Is it 1.2%? So if you threw that to OpenAI and say, you prompt, you say, okay, correct it, it would probably try to correct it. But is it right to correct it? Do we want to correct everything? Okay, so maybe not. So the first task was actually to create what is not a good correction, and we created the spell check guideline to define the spell check, let's say, performance, or the spell check.
Is this like a classifier that you train, or is it like regex doing specific checks on what you're looking for?
For now, there's no machine learning. No, it's just we define the problem and what is a good solution for now. Uh, I will jump right into the fine tuning, but actually the fine tuning is actually the last step. So the second step was to create the evaluation algorithm and the benchmark. The benchmark is quite easy. Is you have a wrong list of ingredients and you correct it. So I took a 300 list of ingredients. I corrected them almost myself. To be honest, I use GPT 3.5 to correct them, and then using Argula, I manually review the LLM annotation, and I reviewed it many times to get the best benchmark, the most qualitative benchmark on its 300 list of ingredients. Argula, yes. Argula is a natural language processing annotation tool. So you have Language Studio for computer vision and more. But Argula, to be honest, is one of the best right now to for natural language processing annotation. Far better than Docano, and Docano is still an open source project, but Argula is now under the Hugging Face hub. So yeah, Argula will expand and evolve a lot in the next year. So Argula is a very nice tool to annotate text data. Yeah. So with the benchmark, I created then an evaluation algorithm because I wanted to see. Okay, I want to see in this sentence how many words or characters are corrected, and the one that are corrected but that shouldn't be corrected, and the one that were supposed to be corrected but maybe I say. But if you notice, it's something like precision recall for at the world level. And so what I did is I created a custom evaluation algorithm because I had a very specific task, and using sequence alignment, which is something with used in bioinformatics, DNA and stuff like that, to align the words together and to define precision recall based on which word and which position changed and which was supposed to change or not. So I already went too much into details, but I created an evaluation algorithm coupled with the benchmark that allowed me to get the precision recall of any spell check.
That's super interesting that we can go into all these details. If I understood correctly, you define what you were looking for, what you wanted to correct, and so at a high level, what did the benchmark needed to tackle the specific problems that you're going to solve. You have Aguila as an annotation tool, and then you created this algorithm. So I would imagine that that's post selection of the data set and the rows that matches what you wanted to correct, right?
No, I correct. I evaluate on any row or any text, and then I evaluate any model or solution.
Okay, so everything is okay. Cool. And so then you used precision and recall. How do you get so okay? Interesting. NLP questions or GenAI questions, or are those the same thing? So many questions. Let's debate. I know you have strong views on that. This is my next questions. We'll discuss more NLP versus GenAI versus what it means, what it mean, what does it mean to be an AI engineer. But how do you arrive to the precision and the recall when you are using words? So you, so your text is being tokenized, and then those are words. But like when you're doing these tasks, where does the precision and the recall come from? Like what are the is it a model, or like what are you trying to look for in those variables?
So the precision is literally how many, like, because I have a word view of the performance, which means per word. Can it say that precision is actually the precision of the spell check is how many words? I need to remember what it. How many words were correctly corrected or spell checked? Okay, over the entire predictions. So this is literally the precision. So how many words were correctly corrected over the how many words was corrected by the model, and also I have the record how many errors errors were correctly found over all the errors. And so I had this precision in recall, but for words. Maybe maybe I said something wrong with the precision recall, so I can I can imagine your listeners like correcting me. But, yeah.
No, those are fun. Yeah, they are like the famous four metrics that you have this table and you're always like, oh, which one's what? But always super useful. The labels. So okay, so to get those values, did someone label by hand? Did you use like a strong model with vision recognition that you used as a proof, or no to both of those? So like, how did you got these values and these counts in the first place?
That's actually just a custom evaluation. I feel like any task requires his custom evaluation algorithm. This is why I never use the overall benchmark, like to whatever are these benchmarks, they are made for specific tasks, and you need to develop your own custom algorithm to evaluate your specific task. So now, in my case, we have. It's true. It could be like name entity recognition, and you say this word is an error, label it as an error, but you do it manually. But it would be so hard to annotate. But it's really hard to say it loudly. But let me try to explain. It's like, when you have the original text, when you have the reference text, how it should be corrected, and when you have the prediction of the model, you know that this word, let's say the, has been corrected into a da, I don't know, during the prediction. And actually the correct word here was the, that was the reference. So you know that da was wrongly predicted by the model, why it shouldn't be corrected. So it means it's a false positive. Okay. So you got your first false positive, and then you can do that with false positive and then false negative. It wasn't corrected, but it should be corrected. And so you got your false positive, false negative, true positive, true negatives, and using sequence alignment, which is used in DNA to align the sequence of DNA. You can also align the words together, those the with the, and the pig with pig, and the cat with cat. And so you can align your three sequences, pair or whatever. And so you can just count the number of true positive, false positive, and so on from a benchmark with no annotation except one original and one reference. The reference being the perfect way to correct the text as the guideline suggests. And so no like that. It's just a custom evaluation. It took me 2 weeks to develop, but it works super fine. And now with just a benchmark with original reference, you can evaluate with precision recall how many errors were correctly or wrongly found.
Awesome. That enhances the fact that your main problem is the original data, and if that's good, then you're going to be just fine in the later processes of training models and everything. Meaning that I don't know how big is this data set, but once you have those the it's not translations, but the corrected version against the one that you define being the standard, and that you can compare each tokens and each words and etc. Then you can have all those metrics, and I can see a clear path of how do you train this algorithm.
But just to cut it, let's say now we have the evaluation algorithm. Now we have a benchmark and evaluation algorithm, and everyone should do that, no matter if they have RAG system or any GenAI system. Now we can evaluate OpenAI, Claude, Extra, or Peter Norvig solutions, because now we can evaluate any solutions. So the next step I did was evaluating Gemini 1.5 Flash, doing a full benchmark of all the LLMs existing and who's performing the best.
No fine tuning, right?
No fine tuning yet. And actually, GPT 3.5 was performing the best over GPT-4, 4.0, sorry. And that was pretty interesting to see, but I have the evaluation algorithm, so I know it's true. And so I'm like, okay, but can we deploy Gemini 3.5 in production? And actually we could, So the project is over. Now, to be honest, you don't have to fine tune everything. You just, as soon as you get your solution, it's fair enough. But you need the evaluation algorithm to evaluate any solution. But GPT 2.5, we have an issue with that. It's not about cost. Even if now we have GPT 4.0 mini, if I remember well.
I use it a lot.
But I mean, it's cost efficient. It's pretty good. But we had an issue with ownership. We have using proprietary LLMs has a lot of benefits, but it has a lot of caveats as well. One of the caveats is the ownership. And I don't know, for instance, GPT-3.5, which is our best model. I don't think OpenAI will keep GPT-3.5 running forever. Okay? Or we can have a different issue with prompt engineering or changing with LLM versions and stuff like that. So for the sake of ownership, we had to get our own models that will never change no matter what. And so we decided from this point to fine tune our model. So for fine tuning, we need data because we don't have data yet. We have the evaluation data, but not the training data. So for the data, we can annotate 6,000 list of ingredients. But what is the best to annotate? The LLMs. So what we did, we used the GPT-5, which was the best model. We synthetically corrected all the 6,000 list of ingredients, and then we reviewed the manually using Agila the examples of the data, and we fine-tuned different models on this generated data set, and from that comes from the database, and it's not the original list of ingredients. It's not synthetically generated, but synthetically corrected. And using actually proprietary LLMs, we developed and we fine-tuned our own model, which is open source and which is now we own.
That's awesome. I guess we're just missing one part, which is the deployment of that model. Because now you have a trained model. So, all right, are you going to create a big party and deploying your own API with your own model with GPU, etc.? Are you going to use a third party provider to like host this model that you fine tuned? Can you share about like what happened next?
Yeah. So what happens is like we had different possibilities to develop it. Either we deploy it in real time. So as soon as the contributor is adding a new product, we can run the GPU online and then run the model from GCP. We use the GCP for that. But to be honest, it wasn't the best solution because it's super costly to run 24/7 GPU. I think the scale to zero is it's like for GPU is pretty hard because you need a long time to start and stop a process. Core stuff. So we said, okay, we have a lot of products, and also we have a lot of products that are already with the wrong list of ingredients, with wrong OCR extracted text. So we decided to deploy it by to do batch inference, which is actually the best solution, especially with the LLMs. And using GCP batch and VLLMs, we deployed that using Docker and GCP, and we processed 10,000 list of 10,000 products, which were the most popular products from popular in terms of popularity by the users of the database, and we corrected them, all of them. It actually is super nice because it just lasted 20 minutes. No, not even less, to process 10,000 products of text using the LLM. It costed less than $1, I think, and if I remember well. And I calculated that if we wanted to process 100K products, it would cost not even $2 using the LLM and the GPU L4 from GCP. So we found a way to pre-process actually all the data online. But we talk about deployment, but there is a main issue with the machine learning is how to integrate the solution into your product, because you have the deployment solution, but it doesn't mean it's integrated. You need to integrate it with the contributors. And to and we decided to not let the model predict and correct by itself all the text, because it can, of course, it can make mistakes, and it does actually a lot of mistakes. So what we did using the batch inference, we preprocessed the data, and we created some using Hugging Face spaces, a kind of demo using the data from the database, extracted from the database, and allowing any contributors to annotate the data with the original text as it is in the database, and how the model predicted it, corrected it, and then they can change the prediction and correct it, and then send it to the real database, and we keep all the prediction, all the correction from the users. In the future, we're gonna use these users of these human in the loop corrections to improve our model again and again, and to rerun every week, every day, or whatever the model on the data.
Right. Awesome. So if I understood correctly, at first you didn't, but then you implemented it in the product in a way that when I ship a new product, I'll have the OCR prediction and I'll be able to annotate on that OCR prediction if I'm seeing any errors or anything. So in the end, so you mentioned that you thought doing it on GCP, but it was expensive having this GPU 24/7. From what I understood, you used during 20 minutes to like do a huge batch of products, right? I think I didn't get the part where you integrated it into the product. Did you use GCP in the end, or was it a third party, or like how do you do to create those predictions and get those annotations now that it's inside of the product?
So what you have to understand with the batch inference is like the products or the data is pre-processed and is ready to be validated or corrected by users, and it's already in a specific database and in a specific Postgres database. And so when you have this data and this correction, you can use it wherever you want. So for instance, right now we use it in a annotation tool style, but you can also imagine that building that directly into the front end, and whenever a user wants to edit a product page, which happens a lot. Actually, we OpenFacts allow any users to edit any product. We can develop the front end to put, I don't know, like a little window with the prediction and say, oh, by the way, this text, we saw that there was some mistakes. Here are the mistakes. What do you think? And allowing the user to either validate or correct the mistakes. Right now, is not integrated yet into the OpenAI app and website, but like a new freelancer is already picked by OpenFeedFacts, and will start, I think, early next year. And he's a front-end developer, and he will develop the front end for all the machine learning features.
Is that correct that you're processing it as a batch process, like I don't know, weekly or something, and so you get the new data and then every X time you just process it on the model. So like you put up the machine, you run everything, you put down the machine, and then it's available for the users to review and annotate. Is that correct?
Exactly. It's exactly like a recommendation system. If you know about it, like Netflix pre-process all the data during the night for all the users. I mean, maybe not all, but they process the data in batch. And then whenever you open Netflix, you already have your recommendation for you, and it's pre-processed. So
Yeah, YouTube does the same. It's super funny too. There is always this fun. I recently got my Databricks champion certification.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so I was super, and so I totally get that the batch and near real time and real time thing. and a lot of time it's fun discussions with the users. And in a recent episode, Anant told me the magic key, the magic sentence to say to a user when they want real time, but you know that they don't want real time. And it's okay. So here it is. I'm sharing it to everyone. When you ask, are you sure it's right time? Yeah, we need this data in real time. The question is there going to be someone 24/7 waiting for something to happen so that in the same second they can do something or activate this? If the answer is no, then you don't want real time. If the answer is yes, then yes, you want real time.
There's a super nice podcast called MLOps and MLOps something from the owner of Feature Form, if I remember well. Very nice podcast. And in one of the podcasts, he described how to deploy your machine learning models. And you have four ways of developing a machine learning models. But to stay short is like depending of how fast you need the prediction, no matter the prediction. And so if you need the prediction, like how much can you wait, let's say for the prediction to come? And if you need the prediction right away, let's say a contributor add a new product and need to have the correction of the product right away, you need real time. There's all near real time, like asynchronous. So it's almost right away. But if the contributor, what the user can wait over 15 minutes, which means actually while he sleeps or whatever, you can have a seemingly real time by pre-processing all the data and putting the data on the front end whenever the contributor connects, let's say during the daytime, you know. So not everything needs to be real time. I even talked to a machine engineering, and he told me that maybe 90% of the machine deployment doesn't require real time, and just a batch deployment is enough, and it's super cost effective. Like when you pick the right hardwares with the right tools, let's say VLLM for the LLMs, um, like you can nail your company issues or problems super easy.
Yeah, I think like yeah, batches, micro batches, whatever. If you're doing your real time, you better have a good excuse. 100% agreed, and we'll put all those recommendations in the video in the description. So I guess I have 2 or 3 more questions for you. I don't know if you want to jump into the Gen AI versus NLP, but I was thinking about the content creation in LinkedIn. So of course we've been talking about one of your projects, but you've been doing a lot of things, and that would be to reduce the work you've been done to just talk about that. Even though it was super fun to enter in a bit of the details and the thinking process of doing a job of this quality and with this kind of organizations. So maybe can you share about your journey as a content creator and like how does LinkedIn help you in finding new clients, new opportunities for you to grow and onboard new projects and yeah, I don't know, anything that you feel sharing about the journey.
Actually, LinkedIn wasn't my first platform where I started to share on social media. But when I decided to become a data scientist and to live abroad and to travel as a digital nomad, I was like, actually even before, but I was like, I need to do something with my uh, um, an online identity, because you are no one until you share yourself online, John. And I started to do no, but it's true, and I started to
Yeah.
do that.
So, I'm sorry, I just laughed.
Yeah.
It just felt fun. I guess you can share yourself online in different ways. I don't know. I think I
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah. But you're the perfect example. Like you have a podcast and you share a podcast,
No,
or
no,
you can
hundred
write.
percent, 100%. I'm sorry, I got to do. My mind just went on funny topics that.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, no, no,
yeah,
okay.
I don't want to say anymore. I just. I'm sorry, not appropriate. So you
No,
go ahead because I totally agree with you and you're 100% on point. Yeah.
yeah, no, sorry, I don't. I don't. I started to. I started to write online actually whenever, well, as soon as I started to start this journey, I would say, and because I found the way that sharing online means I can connect with people and I can learn from people by either reaching out to them directly or by talking to, let's say, a large audience uh, in one message, and I can have the feedback from them, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm learning and I don't know what to do, so I will share online, and who cares if nobody read me? And actually, that was the case. Like at the beginning, nobody read me, and that was perfectly fine because I was like sharing content or sharing online for almost for myself. Let's just to have um, how do you say, a diary, and and to be honest, I didn't start with LinkedIn directly. I started with Instagram and TikTok. If you look at Earn data scientists, you can find myself traveling and I don't know, like doing reels like for data science in my journey. And actually, I stopped that. I focused on LinkedIn and Medium now. But yeah, that was a journey. And you asked about the if how does it help me to find clients or opportunities? To be honest, not that much. I think like I earned way more from LinkedIn and Medium uh, by the, I don't know if my English is correct, but by the connections and the people I met. For instance, I started natural language processing. I didn't know about natural language processing. I was doing data science, and then natural language processing. Why? Because I reached out to this girl. She was working at Ubisoft in Montreal, and I wanted to go to Montreal. And I'm a bit of a gamer, so I like video games. So I'm like, oh, Ubisoft is in Montreal, so what? So I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna reach out to her. I'm gonna share. I'm gonna reach out to her, and she answered me, and she said, "Oh, by the way, I read your articles and about your journey in France, of the fact that you feel a constraint in France. And I wrote some article in French actually on my LinkedIn 3 years ago." And she said, "Yeah, yeah, I started some to write articles too." And and actually, the content I shared online was the way for us to connect. So in a way, it served me to get this connection. And what she told me is like her experience and stuff like that. And she was actually a natural language processing engineer for Ubisoft to detect, for instance, harmful comments, during video games and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, I want to work at Ubisoft. Now I become a natural language processing engineer, and I started this journey within the journey in natural language processing. So what I did is that I just narrow it down, and instead of learning everything, I just learned NLP, and I tackled a lot of issues with NLP, which is text classification, name entity recognition, and so on and so on.
I guess one thing that what I've seen through time, seeing your posts and your content and reading you, was the consistency in which not only you post, of course, but you learned. So like your learning curve is impressive, uh, and um, and I think that's an amazing. I'm sorry. I think that's an amazing example to anyone who is trying to figure out what they want to do, or like they are at a specific stage in your career. The growth, the learning pace at which you're growing depends on you and what you want, and you can do those hacks if you want to learn faster, and you'll get a compounding effect from then, which is why you described about the connections, because then you have both credibility and you become part of a community because you see the same names coming back again and again because you're interested in similar topics and those people knows people, and so maybe you're not doing directly cold outreach on LinkedIn or like trying to touch your audience as a community writing for on LinkedIn, but the connections have clients that have problems that can put you in contact, meaning that you just need to talk about your, and this is also something that I really like about the content that you share, is that like this open source project that you described, you're super open about your learnings and your growth and your thoughts, and you're also super direct and open to debate on your views that could be more controversial, which tends to lead to maybe more discussions, uncomfortable or not. But so in the end, because there are more discussions and people commenting and people sharing their views, there is more growth for the community and these bubbles that one can find themselves on. And speaking of LinkedIn.
I feel also that when you post online, you should be very careful with the vanity metrics, like the number of followers and the number of reads or what is this, and the impressions. Because to be honest, you can be read by 1 million people from all over the world. But actually, if these followers or readers, like they can be completely out of your world. Like you don't have to impress, let's say, all the data scientists, all everybody, or CEOs or whatever, to share a very viral content. I don't think there is any value in that just because you reach anybody. To be honest, I prefer to reach a few people on a super technical post, on super narrow view on something like GenAI, whatever, but just talk to the people that either thinks like me or that can be my future clients. And um, and so when you post online, it's super hard to not care about the vanity metrics, but instead of caring about what is the value of my content, and do I talk correctly to my audience and the audience I want to work with in a way. Could be other freelancers, it could be other machine learning engineers, it could be leaders in company. And because right now we see a lot of content on LinkedIn or Medium Extra, and usually it's about LLMs and the LLMs benchmark and stuff like that, or papers, But to be honest, it's like everybody is copying everyone, and you just read the paper and do the summarization. It's good, okay, provide value, but you don't. To be honest, you don't talk by doing that to the people you would like to work with. Like if you want, for instance, a company like a client, you should talk about not papers, but about problems and how you solve those problems for previous clients, and share it in a post. And you should only do that with either your point of view and or the people or the companies you want to work with.
Mm, yeah, I really like that. And it reminds me of an episode that we recorded on the podcast, um, where basically the insight. I'm not sure which, so I'm not saying any episodes which is bad, but I don't want
What
to.
is it? Maybe I can
Uh,
help you actually.
um, so the the insight was that when you're addressing your LinkedIn community, there are like different circles into it, which is like, okay, you have posts that can address a big audience and posts that can address like, so something generalist, something specific, and something that's unique to you as the smallest bubble. What does that mean? Well, let's say I'm speaking about AI and I want to outreach my clients, so I can speak about like common views or key concepts, but with my unique thoughts on it and my unique touch. Okay, then I'm super into Gen AI or NLP, and I know a lot of the latest things and I read and listen to the latest podcast. So I have interesting tips to share to the smallest community. And then I love to surf, or I love to travel, or I love to like things that are unique to me. And so those are also kinds of posts. And I think that the insight was, yeah, just do the three with correct weights, and you will be more specific, and you'll have an overall better creator experience, because because you're finding your people, and the people that like you because of not only A or not only B, but A, B, C. Or they can like you for A and B, and they don't care about C, and they just don't want your C content, right?
Yeah, exactly. What you described is just the tofu, mofu, bofu. Maybe you heard about it.
No,
Uh,
I haven't.
oh, really? I think it's called the top of the funnel, tofu, the mid funnel, and the bottom of the funnel, something like that. And yeah, it's definitely let's say a concept in content creation. And yeah, actually, and I would just add that sharing content online is like taking a mic on the street, and I don't know, you can sing, you can talk, you can whatever you want, but nobody will care, and only people who cares, sorry, only people who care will stop, and you can just talk or sing to these people, and this is what LinkedIn or Medium or Instagram, TikTok actually are. Is that okay? You just take the mic, and who cares will stop and follow you until he is bored or whatever.
Yeah, amazing. That will help me in my in my upcoming posts. That was super useful. So I guess I have just one more question, which is, would you have your message for the Let's Talk AI community? If you have anything that you want to share about LinkedIn, Medium, post, where can people find you and follow you? But maybe just before that, we had this Gen AI versus NLP thing. So I don't know if you want to just touch really quick on that. Maybe to give you an opener, I feel that Gen AI to me is what you describes as NLP, and that AI engineers are just people who are machine learning engineers, or like they are like software engineers but that can build API and build tools with LLMs, so taking into account the inference of LLMs, taking into account the deployment of LLMs, which are very specific models that runs on specific machines, and there are a lot of technicalities to take into account depending on if you want to scale, etc. But my view of the AI engineer is that he's a software engineer that understands well LLMs and how they work and how they perform in production and at scale. Um, but I think it's different from your view because you are a bit against Gen AI and against AI engineers. Is that correct? Or like, how do you see it?
So no, it's not correct. It's like actually I completely agree with your definition of AI engineer. It's like a mix between the software engineer and API providers, like LLMs providers. And to be honest, I was an AI engineer too. Like one of my clients or two, three of my clients asked me to become an AI engineer. Oh, they didn't ask, but at the end of the day, I developed software engineering skills and developing API and calling OpenAI for the backend. And no, you're completely right. This is using the AI providers like OpenAI or Anthropic is like a way to provide value as fast as possible. And to be honest, if it works, it works. It's like the LLMs, as an API. I'm not talking about all the LLMs as open source, but LLMs as an API are just another tool you can add it to your toolkit as a software engineer or as a machine learning engineer to help you solve the business problem. And to be honest, the business problem is the main concern. What you said I'm against the GenAI. I'm only against the GenAI when you want to apply the GenAI to all the problems. And I see that way too often. And in a way, it's good because it's like a door um, through uh, through what founders and CEOs they go through, and they want to develop an AI assistant or an AI feature, and they want to develop it, but often it's not the real solutions. And for instance, it happened to me, like a client came to me to develop a recommendation system using LLM. And actually, I say, no, let's just use rule base and get good to it or good with it. And it worked. We developed a solution, and we didn't use LLM at all. So I'm just against the fact that Gen AI or using text generation GenAI because we can have so image generation, but text generation can solve a lot of problems. But whenever you need to be more specific, or you need privacy, or you need ownership, or you need better performance, you need to adapt the solution to the problem instead of adapting the problem to your solution. And I see too many companies and people focusing on the technology, which is the GenAI, amazing, and I use myself, but to solve any problem. And actually, a lot of natural language processing problems too, which is fun. Like to do text classification, you can solve it with ChatGPT or GPT-4o, for instance. But whenever you need ownership or to have better performance, you need to go to fine tuning. But only at this moment, for the first POC and the first iterations, GenAI is good, LLM is good, and you always need to care about the business problem.
Yeah, too bad. I thought we would have
Yeah.
a fun,
I'm sorry.
no, I think it makes totally sense, and I think that's the way to frame it. And I agree with you. There is a lot of hype around Gen AI, where everyone wants to use Gen AI. The sentence is like, don't try to fit the technology into the business. Like, just choose the technologies that solve the problem in the best way. If not, it doesn't make any sense. And like getting value from Gen AI in general, meaning using LLMs to like drive value and growth. If you look at coding, yeah, there's a lot of value in companies like Cursor and Copilot, etc. It's very tangible because it's connected to the programmers. Programmers knows about the LLMs, and we can measure the time and efficiency. There are some pros and cons about like generating buggy code or like debugging for longer times, etc. But in the end, if you use it well, I think it's very beneficial. But in general, Gen AI still needs to be unlocked, in my opinion, in terms of the real value. When I say Gen AI here, in the context of um, of using LLMs into business processes, because there are a lot of things that work, like classical machine learning, doing regression classification tasks to solve specific problems that have a lot of value. That exists. Banks have a ton of models that and still need a ton of model and retrain it, and there is all these data engineering, data governance pipelines in different tools, where with different databases that you need to put in one place in the warehouse or the lake house or whatever, and managing all that, having observability. So yeah, Gen AI is a very small part of the problem. And what I don't like about it is that AI is a word that everyone have a different definition in their mind of what it means. So whenever you're going to start a sentence with like AI is or like AI does, then you need to have like 5 next sentences defining each term that you used in your sentence so that everyone can understand fully your ideas. If not, they'll have a different idea of what you wanted to write in the first place, which sucks. But yeah, I totally agree. All of that to say, I agree. I don't know if you want to add anything on this.
So so it's nice. And,
Awesome.
yeah.
And I guess my two last questions: where can people find more about you and what you're currently doing, and your message for the Let's Talk AI community?
So your listeners can find me on LinkedIn. I'm trying to be active as much as possible. Not enough, but trying my best. And also on Medium, I have Medium where I share some articles about the project I just mentioned in this podcast. Also, if they want to laugh a bit, they can check my Instagram that I probably forgot about. It's called Nomad Data Scientist, and they can maybe find me on TikTok too. But let's say LinkedIn first, and then if you want to laugh, Instagram.
So you want more of Jeremy, you know where to find him.
Oh.
Amazing. And so I guess what's your message for the Leicester Care community? It can be anything that we discuss in this podcast, something personal, something that inspired you or lesson that you want us to take away.
It's very philosophical, but just stay in movement. You need to explore. You need to stay on the move. This is how you grow. And if you stop moving, you stop growing.
I think it's Tony Robbins who says growth equal happiness. And so growth feels uncomfortable, but the compounding effect that it has and the confidence that it gives you, it's not about, so in my perspective, it's not about the work itself. Like what are you doing? Are you a singer? Are you a data scientist? Are you whatever? It's about like how consistent you are into like going for goals. The typical sentence about it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, blah blah blah. But the feeling of growing and being able to have new skills and new understandings and new opportunities and new people around and credibility, and yeah, just I really like this idea of growing to be happier.
And data in general, so it could be data scientist, machine learning, data engineer, and software engineering too, is it's so vast. You have so much to learn, and yeah, it's actually so exciting. To be honest, like is the career ask us to move, to learn new things. And I was an engineer, I was a PhD researcher, and compare to these roles that are stuck in time almost, like IT or data roles are so exciting because it's moving so fast and you cannot learn everything. And I joke about that with my girlfriend a lot. Is like every time I read an article when we are together, I'm like, it's going too fast. I cannot learn everything. Like there is a new article from AWS, new model, and but it's so exciting. And yeah, we need to take the path.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Jeremy. I had an amazing time. I learned a lot. Thank you very much for sharing all those processes and the specific use cases. I wish you the best, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Laura.